Is Batou crazy, or is Oshii crazy, or am I crazy? What's going on in the Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence? I'm Dr. Sho, the Japanese behaviorist, and this is behavior analysis of Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence. In the previous video, I analyzed the 1995 Ghost in the Shell movie from the behaviorist perspective. And in this video, I'm going to continue the analysis with the second movie, Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence. This movie is full of madness, crazy characters, million philosophical quotations, full of symbolisms and Japanese cultural references. It looks very chaotic, but strangely, it is not confusing once you understand the key concept, the philosophical disease. The story takes place 3 years after the first movie. Batou and Togusa investigate a series of mysterious murders committed by the Gainoids. As the investigation develops, they find out that the company that manufactures the Gainoids kidnapped young girls and copied their ghosts onto the Gainoids' brains. With the help of Motoko and Togusa, Batou finally rescues the kidnapped girl and exposes the company's wrongdoing. The end. Happily ever after, isn't it? Well, that's not so simple. The viewers are puzzled by Batou's remark when he finally rescues the girl who was kidnapped and imprisoned almost to death.
He told us if the robots made trouble, someone out there would notice. Then someone would come and save us.
I didn't think that there were any victims. And I'm not just talking about the humans. What about all those dolls out there right now who are endowed with human souls?
What is Batou saying here? Why is he blaming the kidnapped girl for her effort to escape? Yeah, it's somewhat understandable that he's concerned about the people who are killed by her action, but why is he saying that the Gainoids are also the victims? Did he go completely crazy? Well, here's a behaviorist interpretation. Batou said what he said because he's infected with the philosophical disease. Throughout the movie, his symptom gets worse and worse to the point in the end that he's gone completely mad. So what is the philosophical disease? The philosophical disease is a condition where people believe that the metaphysical objects are more real than the actual physical objects. And in the previous film, Motoko mistakenly believed that her ghost is more important than her body. And she believed that she can become transcendental once her ghost leaves her body. And as a result, she disappears from this world.
人間が人間であるための部品が決して少なくないように、自分が自分であるためには驚くほど多くのものが必要なのよ。他人を隔てるための顔、それと意識しない声、目覚めの時に見つめれて幼かった頃の記憶、未来の予感。それだけじゃないわ。私の電脳がアクセスできる膨大な情報やネットの広がり、それらすべてが私の一部であり、私という意識そのものを生み出し、そして同時に私をある限界に制約し続ける。
Behaviorists call such a condition the philosophical disease and warns against it because there is a danger. In this movie, we can see why this is a big problem. As Batou goes through the investigation, he meets various characters who show different degrees of the symptoms of the philosophical disease. And this structure is very similar to Dante's Divine Comedy, where Dante's protagonist goes from the hell and to the purgatory and to the heaven, and he meets different people who suffer from different degrees of sins. And I identified 4 stages of the philosophical disease in this movie. The first, depression. The second, the excessive love of object. The third, hate of flesh. And the fourth and the final stage is to leave the physical world. The first one is depression, and we can see this in Batou. Batou is depressed ever since Motoko left him 3 years ago in the previous film.
'Cause I'm not the major. I can't replace her.
No one's asking you to.
So, is she still listed as missing?
I really have no complaints about him.
Yeah, I know. The only one who ever really measured up to your standards was Major Kusanagi. Right?
Ishikawa, if you don't mind, I'd rather not talk about it.
He lacks emotion, he withdraws from social interaction, and he doesn't trust anyone. He cares about his dog, but he doesn't even play with him. Chief Aramaki says that Batou is becoming more and more like Motoko, hinting at the development of the philosophical disease.
It's just that lately Batou reminds me more and more of the Major before she vanished. Let no one walk alone, committing no sin, with very few wishes, like elephants in the forest.
The second stage of the philosophical disease is the excessive love of objects. In this stage, the distinction between the humans and inanimate objects become blurred, and people start treating inanimate objects as a living thing. And this stage is represented by Haraway, a forensic specialist who analyzed the killer gynoid. She doesn't want to distinguish the machines from the humans.
How would a robot commit suicide?
By intentionally malfunctioning, these gynoids can authorize themselves to attack people. Technically, this glitch would liberate them from being restrained by Moral Code 3.
Maintain existence without inflicting injury on humans. Isn't self-destruction a more accurate term, then?
Only if you wish to make a clear distinction between machines and human beings.
Haraway treats machines just like humans, then she takes a side with machines.
Well, I think it's because humans discard the robots once they're useless. And owners constantly trade up to newer models. Some of those abandoned become vagrant, degenerate from lack of maintenance. No robot wants to be treated like a disposable item.
That's a little far-fetched.
Humans are different than robots, but such a belief is nothing more than simply acknowledging that.
Haraway also believes that the machines have feelings just like humans.
Why did they have to be created like a human, particularly an idealized version of a human?
And she says that the dolls are the idealized version of humans.
Do you have any children?
I have a daughter.
Children have always been excluded from the customary standards of human behavior. Only if you define humans as beings who possess a conventional identity and act out of free will. Then what are children who live in the chaos preceding maturing as humans? They clearly differ from humans, but they definitely have human form. Little girls use dolls to play house and pretend that the dolls are their babies. The dolls are not surrogates in place of real babies. The girls are not practicing child rearing at all. It may just be that playing with a doll happens to be similar to raising children.
What the hell are you talking about?
I'm just saying that raising children is the simplest and fastest way to achieve the ancient dream of creating artificial life.
Haraway shows a symptom of the disease. She unintentionally twists the logic. People have an urge to make a doll because the dolls are the idealized version of people. People also make babies. Therefore, people are making babies as a substitute for making a doll. Her reasoning of child rearing is clearly wrong, but she loves the doll so much that in her eyes, a child rearing looks like a substitute for having a doll. And this is the second stage of the philosophical disease. People excessively love a certain object such that that object becomes more real than the actual reality. How do Batou and Tokusa react?
That's bullshit. Children aren't dolls.
You see, Descartes, didn't differentiate man from machine, animate from inanimate. He lost his beloved 5-year-old daughter, then named a look-alike doll after her, and doted on the doll. The doll became a surrogate.
Togusa gets upset while Batou smiles. In fact, this is the first time Batou smiles in this movie. And this difference in reaction occurs over and over again. Whenever Togusa meets a character who is infected with a philosophical disease, he gets upset and he wants to quit. Batou, on the other hand, becomes lively. Batou continues his journey. The third stage of the philosophical disease is the hate of flesh. Batou and Togusa encounters Kim, a hacker who replaced his body with that of a doll.
I don't understand those who want to replicate humans by breathing souls into dolls. The definition of a truly beautiful doll is a living, breathing body devoid of a soul. It's nothing but an unyielding corpse, tiptoeing on the brink of collapse.
Or reduced to a ravaged body with an e-brain. Is that the reason?
Kim shares the same ideology as Haraway, except that he went one step further. He not only loves the doll, but he tried to become one by giving up his human body.
Humans are no match for a doll, in form or elegance. You see, my dear Batou, the inadequacies of human cognitive ability are the cause for the imperfection of reality. Perfection is possible only for those without consciousness or with infinite consciousness. In other words, dolls or gods.
Kim also has a strange twist of reasoning. He says that the humans are no match for the dolls, not only of its beauty but also of its existence. By the way, in Japanese version, he says beauty, elegance, and existence. And this is because humans cannot have a perfect vision of the reality because of the limit of human cognition. Whereas the dolls have a perfect vision because they don't have a cognition. And the gods have a perfect vision because they have perfect knowledge. And therefore, dolls and gods are superior to humans. But this is a nonsense comparison because you cannot compare humans with something that is not of the same kind. Dolls, gods, perfection are human products. It's like comparing me with a cup. That's a nonsense comparison. How do Batou and Togusa respond?
Can we get down to business now, Mr. Kim?
Actually, there's one more mode of existence that is equal to dolls and deities.
Are you talking about animals?
Yes, I am.
Togusa wants to stop talking about it. Batou understands him. By the way, Kim's logic may not make sense to non-Japanese, especially where he places gods, dolls, and animals at the same level and sees them as a perfect being. And this is coming from Japanese idea of innocence, which happens to be the title of this movie. Innocence in Japanese Buddhism culture means a pure soul, or an uncontaminated soul, something that only a child or an animal can possess. Japanese Buddhism teaches to go back to the mind of an innocent child, because such a mind doesn't differentiate the world into good and bad or a desirable and undesirable. A child is believed to see the world as a whole. And that's why the Japanese culture treats innocence and perfection as equivalent. And this is what Kim is saying. Animals and dolls are perfect and innocent just like gods, and they're both superior to adult humans. Kim continues.
You doubt whether a creature that certainly appears to be alive is really alive. Conversely, you doubt that a lifeless object might actually be alive. The eeriness of dolls comes solely from the fact that they are completely modeled on human beings. In fact, they are nothing but human, really. They make us face the fear of being reduced to simple mechanisms and matter. In other words, they make us face the fear that fundamentally all humans belong to the void.
Enough of this. Let's get down to business, Kim.
Science, seeking to unlock the secret of life, also brought about this fear. The notion that nature can be calculated inevitably leads to the conclusion that humans too can be reduced to basic mechanical parts.
Kim makes a mistake here as well. He says that the science exposed human nature as belonging to the void. And this idea resonates with the phrase that appears again and again in his territory.
Life and death come and go, like marionettes dancing on a table. Once the string is cut, they easily collapse.
The passage says that the life comes into the physical body and then leaves. And the life leaves, the body drops like a marionette without a string. And this is coming from an old Japanese text. And what's wrong with this? Well, the passage treats life as an entity independent of the physical body, and then treats the human body as the same as a doll, except that the life comes in and out. And this is wrong. In reality, what we call life is the processes of our physical body. And there is no such a thing as life as an entity separate from these processes. So even when science exposes human nature as physical processes, that doesn't mean that people belongs to the void. Love, life, and hope won't disappear with science. These are the aspects of the physical world. In any case, Kim mentions two philosophers who are important in his thinking.
The modern technologies of robotics and electronic neurology resurrected the 18th century theory of man as machine.
God is everlasting geometry.
One is Descartes and the other is Plato. Descartes is responsible for developing the mind-body dualism, and Plato is responsible for developing metaphysics. They are the primary sources of the philosophical disease. So in the stage 3 of the disease, people not only loves objects and the concepts, but also they hate their flesh. They think that their bodies are not important and imperfect. They want something pure, perfect, and innocent. Now let's take a look at Batou again. After meeting with Kim, he becomes very lively, and it makes us think that he may be recovered from depression. But this is deceptive. The reason why Batou is becoming lively is because he's coming closer to Motoko, his guardian angel.
When did you figure it out?
You know the old expression, no one's easier to trick than a trickster? You may be some kind of an electronic warfare specialist, Kim, but you seem to forget that I'm an intelligence expert as well. And besides, I've got a guardian angel looking over my shoulder who helps me out in situations like this.
That's absurd. No one could do that.
You're wrong. Someone did do it. My guardian angel.
But why is Motoko so important to him? Because Motoko gives him the meaning to his life.
And what about the guardian angel you were talking about before?
Well, seems she's vanished again. Somewhere beyond that rift in the weave of the Matrix. Or somewhere on the vast net, just merging along with the entire domain. There are as many paths to proving your existence as there are ghosts in the entire universe. You've got your daughter, that's your proof.
And his proof is Motoko, his guardian angel, and he feels alive. He elevated the ghost above all miserable physical life. Now he has a clear vision, the mission, the meaning. And Motoko is the one who guided him all the way to this point. And he feels happier and happier as he approaches her. In Dante's Divine Comedy, the protagonist goes to the hell, and then to the purgatory, and then to the heaven. Between the hell and the purgatory, the guide switches from the poet to the lady by the name of Beatrice. She is the guardian angel and the love of the protagonist. In this sense, Motoko is the guardian angel who guides Batou to the heaven. Finally, Batou is granted to see Motoko, and he rejoices.
What took you so long? It's been a long time, Major. Or should I call you that? How should I address you now?
To be precise, it's just a fragment of me downloaded via satellite. This gynoid's e-brain lacks capacity.
Motoko literally descends upon him, and in Japanese he actually says, Holy Spirit appeared in front of me. Did he achieve his ultimate goal? Did he become happy again? Well, let's go back to that crazy scene that we wanted to understand in the beginning.
He told us if the robots made trouble, someone out there would notice. Then someone would come and save us.
I didn't think that there were any victims. And I'm not just talking about the humans. What about all those dolls out there right now who are endowed with human souls?
Batou yells at the kidnapped girl saying, didn't you think about the dolls who are given the human spirit? And this shows that the Batou is not recovered from the disease. In fact, he's very sick. He cares more about the dolls than the humans, even when he's in front of the kidnapped girl. And his guardian angel, she supports him fully.
We weep for the blood of a bird, but not for the blood of a fish. Blessed are those who have voice. If the dolls could speak, no doubt they'd scream, I didn't want to become human.
But Batou realizes that this is not a happy ending for him after hearing what the kidnapped girl had to say.
I never wanted to be a doll. I want to go.
This introduces the final stage of the philosophical disease, namely leaving the physical world for metaphysics. And there are two characters shown here in contrast, Motoko and the kidnapped girl. Motoko, in the previous film, fully developed the philosophical disease, gave up her physical body and became something transcendental. She volunteered to become one. On the other hand, the kidnapped girl was forced to be one of those whose ghost lives on while her body dies. The girl, who is supposed to have an innocent mind, didn't want that condition. And that makes Batou asks Motoko this.
Can I ask you a question? Do you consider yourself finally happy now?
A nostalgic value, I suppose, to be happy. At least I am free of dilemma now, and that's nice.
Motoko answers that she doesn't have such a concept anymore, and continues.
Let one walk alone, committing no sin, with few wishes.
Like elephants in the forest.
Batou, always remember, whenever you access the net, I'll be there, by your side. I'm going now.
In Dante's Divine Comedy, when the protagonist finally reaches the top of the heaven, God shines over everything, and Beatrice disappears into light. God becomes the only subject that occupies the protagonist's mind, and the Divine Comedy has a happy ending. For Batou, Motoko suggests that he should feel better whenever he is connected to the net, because the net is a higher being and Motoko is just a part of it. He should feel fulfilled whenever he's connected to the net. But what to do when Batou is not connected to the net? Well, Motoko demands that he lives like an elephant in the forest, alone, quietly, and asks little. And this passage is coming from an old Buddhism texture where Buddha talks about how people should live. But Buddha is not advocating people to live alone. In fact, it is not emphasized at all. Buddha first says to find a good partner, and if you can't find a good partner, then you may live alone. But then he immediately afterwards says it's good to have friends when things happen. So Buddha doesn't demand people to live alone, but Motoko does. And that's a difficult and fruitless path for Batou. So because of Motoko, Batou cannot find a cure to the philosophical disease. Let's see what happens in the end of the movie.
If you would like, you could come in for a bit.
No thanks, it's not my bag to hang out with other people's families.
Daddy! Daddy, did you remember to bring me something?
I didn't forget your present, see?
Yay!
Togusa completely disregards all that happened to him and gives his daughter a doll. On the other hand, Batou is still stuck in the world of a doll, an animal, and a child. It's just a matter of time for Batou to give up his physical existence. So Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence, as a behaviorist views it, is about Batou's journey through various stages of the philosophical disease. The movie displays the serious problems associated with this disease and its consequences. As Chief Aramaki said in the beginning, Batou was ready to give up his physical existence, and such tendency only accelerated throughout the movie. So what awaits Batou if there will be a third movie? Behaviorism as a philosophy of science has three aims: explanation, prediction, and control. Based on the first movie's and second movie's explanations, what can we predict about a possible third movie? In the next video, I'm going to make a prediction of what the Ghost in the Shell 3 can look like from a behaviorist perspective. Thank you for watching. Please let me know your thoughts on the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.